Chairman, and congratulations to each of you on your nomination. Ms. Rikelman, I want to come to you again on the DNA question and your answer to Senator Grassley on that. One of the things we've talked about a good bit lately is the need for rape kit processing and the importance of that in getting violent offenders, perpetrators off the streets. So I think you're trying to kind of work around the constitutionality issue of this. To me, your answer is a little bit fuzzy. Your comments you're writing in the past has been something that would lead me to ascertain that you support the criminal instead of supporting the victim. So I would like to hear from you. In this regard, do you believe DNA testing is unconstitutional? Or do you accept the court's determination that the Fourth Amendment permits states to obtain DNA from these violent perpetrators and criminals?
Thank you, Senator. I absolutely accept the court's interpretation. I will follow all Supreme Court precedent on the Fourth Amendment, and I understand how critical it is for law enforcement to be able to obtain evidence that they need in making sure that they are doing everything they can to keep us safe.
What would have led you then in 2007 in that law review article to look at taking DNA as being unconstitutional?
Senator, in that article, I was writing only about a very narrow part of Fourth Amendment doctrine, something called the special needs exception.
I realize that, but to look at that and then to think about how important DNA is in making these determinations and getting those tests back to local law enforcement so that they can apprehend these individuals that are violent criminals. This makes me really uneasy when I read that and then I hear your answer and I feel as if you're wanting to nuance where you are on that issue. We have a terrible crime issue in this country. We have seen it in city after city. In my state, in Memphis, it has been heartbreaking to see the crime that has played out there. We've seen an uptick in crime in the Nashville area. And it is going to be important that this nation return to a tough on crime posture. It is going to be important that we get these violent criminals off the street. So that does cause me a little bit of concern. I'm also concerned about what I see, and I know Senator Grassley talked with you about this, really the lack of a significant connection to the court to which you would have a lifetime appointment to. Currently, you're not even admitted to practice before the First Circuit, and you were only admitted to the Massachusetts bar in December. Did you do that in order to be nominated for a judgeship?
No, Senator, absolutely not. I grew up in Massachusetts and spent more than 20 years of my life living there. I moved back to Massachusetts during the pandemic, shortly after it began, to take care of my parents who've lived there continuously because they're in poor health. And I wanted to be able to be close to them and able to help them on a weekly basis. And that's when I moved back and then became a member of the Massachusetts bar.
Okay. All right. Justice Kahn, let's talk about legislative history and when you are making decisions and you're looking at a statutory provision trying to determine what it means. What role does legislative history play in your decision?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. It's different in the state of Connecticut versus federal court. So our state legislature passed a statute that mandates us to look at legislative history. But as a federal judge, I understand that my role in interpreting statutes would first and foremost start with the language, the text of the statute. If that's clear, the inquiry ends there. If the statute is not clear, then I would look at the rely on rules or the canons of statutory construction, perhaps look at, obviously follow precedent if it's already been interpreted.
The Constitution, does that weigh in for you?
With regard to questions of constitutional interpretation, I would follow Supreme Court precedent and Second Circuit precedent as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.